There is always a push for gun control, especially when somebody dies from a gun attack. But will gun control actually solve any problems? Will it make us safer? Or will it make us less safe? Let's dissect that argument. Before we begin, I am pleased to announce that a California judge has ruled against California's Proposition 63, which made it illegal, with a penalty of 1 year in jail, for anyone to still have a magazine that has the capacity to hold 10 or more rounds. Initially, California grandfathered in anyone who had a magazine of 10 or more rounds, then prevented everyone else in the future from purchasing a high-capacity magazine. Well, now they have decided that that isn't enough, and that those who already have 10-round magazines must turn them in or risk jail time. I'm sure that law was directed at all the gang members and all felons, who, by law, were not supposed to have a gun to begin with, let alone a gun with a 10-round capacity magazine. I'm sure gang members were lining up to hand in their magazines, since they all follow the law, of course. Now, I don't live in California, but I do ascribe to the Constitution. Many proponents of Proposition 63 claim that having a magazine of less than 10 rounds is still enough to protect yourself and your family from unsavory characters like gang members and violent offenders. The problem with that argument, however, is that the Second Amendment wasn't created for hunting. It wasn't created to protect yourselves from your neighbors. It was created to protect the people from government tyranny. Hunting and protecting yourself from others are indirect benefits of the Second Amendment. As Thomas Jefferson said, when the people fear the government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty. It's quite possible that the Ninth Circuit Appeals Court will overrule this ruling, since they are the most highly politicized court in the U.S. But not to worry. 8 out of 10 of the Ninth Circuit's decisions are overturned by the Supreme Court. So it's unlikely their oppression of our constitutional rights and liberties will not get far. Now, let's discuss why gun control is a failed ideology. According to Crime Prevention Research Center, from the 1950s to July 10th of 2016, 98.4% of mass shootings occurred in gun-free zones. But why is this? Why do psychotic lunatics care where they institute their terror? Because nobody is going to try to shoot up an area full of people with guns. That's why you never, ever see a shooting at a gun show. Moreover, gun control advocates never tell you that 60% of gun crimes are suicides, where the person will just find another way to kill his or herself that doesn't involve a gun. That's why it's important to focus on mental health and outreach programs that helps the mentally ill, children and adults, and not strip away the constitutional protected rights we are born with. Gun control advocates never tell you that according to the CDC, 80% of gun homicides are gang-related, or the guns were purchased illegally on the black market. They never tell you that the majority of gang members are either felons or non-felons who will end up committing a felony sometime in their future due to the lifestyle of being in a gang. This is pertinent information that must be known by everyone before we can have a proper debate on gun control. Lastly, there was a prison study that concluded that guns save 3,600 women a day from being raped. And since this number is highly debated from both left and right-wing sources, I will not quote it as fact. What I will say, however, is that if one woman is saved from being sexually assaulted because she had a gun to protect herself, then I say that's a win. Being raped isn't just a physical assault for the woman. Its damages run a lot deeper. The truth of the matter is that the majority of gun crimes are caused by gang members and felons who shouldn't have a gun to begin with. How is it safer to unarm those citizens who are legally able to own a gun, but ignore the felons and gang members who carry guns illegally on a daily basis? How is it safer to increase the amount of gun-free zones when studies show 98.4% of mass shootings happen in gun-free zones? We have to understand that in a free society, we will run into crime. We will run into violence. It is the cost of freedom, a cost that many Americans have suffered and died for over the centuries. Trying to impede gun crime by making it harder for good, honest Americans to protect themselves from gang members and other violent offenders doesn't actually help good, honest Americans, since they are giving up their defense mechanisms while the gang members keep theirs. It's painful when innocent people die from a gunman in a mass shooting, but it's even more painful when you realize more and more people will die every year once they start losing the ability to protect themselves and their family. I will leave you with a quote from one of our founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin. "Those who sacrifice liberty for security deserve neither." And I'm done.